I'll tell you, a lot of people out there are just selling too cheap because they can't really add value and justify getting a higher price and raise your prices. That's always a thing. You've got to have good margin to grow and to make up for all the mistakes you're going to make and all the things that don't work. Having a budget for that comes from high margins. I could throw money at something and I can have 3 out of 5 fail and still be profitable. That's important.
Welcome to the Business Builders Playbook, the show that breaks down the systems and strategies behind predictable revenue growth to win in business. In each episode, we're diving into the proven strategies that separate the winners who scale from the losers who fail. This show is sponsored by BDR.ai, the AI-powered business development platform that automates your outbound prospecting so you can focus in on closing deals instead of chasing leads. Let's get started. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is David Bush with BDR.ai, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Jeff Bush, my brother and the co-owner of BDR.ai. Jeff has over 3 decades of experience in business development and has helped countless agencies and entrepreneurs to build predictable pipelines, strengthen their positioning, and scale with structure instead of stress. And so in this session, Jeff is going to walk us through the key steps inside of his Business Builder Playbook to show us exactly how he scaled his agency from the humble beginnings of working along in the barn with the horse next to him to a $40 million in annual revenue agency and an 8-figure exit. So Jeff, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Excited to talk and share. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to all of you and happy holidays. We're excited to see this new year kick off and super excited about the opportunity to partner with agency owners who want to scale in the next 12 months. So Jeff, talk us a little bit about your background and your story. What brought you to the point where you decided to open up your agency and kind of kick things off?
So 40 years and 4 minutes. I had a son when I was in high school and I was trying to go to college at night and kind of, single dad kind of thing. And I'm 18 years old and I just couldn't make it work. It was just too much. So I quit college and I'm like, how can I make a lot of money without a college education? Well, I know there's money in sales. So I took a sales job at Auto Trader magazine selling advertising. And then a year later, I took a different job selling direct mail advertising, printing and mailing when I was like 20 years old. And I got up making like 10 grand a month in the 90s. I was young and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of money in sales. I love advertising. I love data. I love writing copy and printing and marketing. It was just fascinating to me. So I really studied marketing. But then, in my late 20s, I think I was 29 years old and I was running a advertising agency that had 40 sales reps and 4 managers and a marketing team and kind of VP of sales and marketing. And we went from $500,000 to $40 million in sales. And I made 300 grand that year. I was 29 years old. That was good money in the 90s, still pretty decent money. And, but some of my clients were making $3 million a year and I'm making 300,000. So it kind of hit me that I'll never make a ton of money unless I own my own company. And I can't do an ad agency because of my non-compete and I didn't want to steal employees. So I opened a mortgage company and spent $200,000 a month on advertising to get up to doing 100 loans a month. So I became a buyer of advertising. And with my background of knowing how to do lead generation, so that mortgage company made $3 million in 2006. So I hit my goal. It was a good move. And then 2007, the crash of the mortgage industry, I say I went back to my day job. I took a year to recover from that horrible time in the mortgage business, 2007, and I opened up another direct mail advertising on my own in 2010 or 2011. So I had it for 10 years and I went from me just selling advertising in the barn by myself. I had 65 employees. We did 20 million in revenue. I made $4 million in 2020. So the biggest income year I ever had. And then I sold it. And when I sold it, the year after I sold it, it doubled to 40 million. I'm like, I sold it a year too early. That was kind of sad, but whatever. Timing's hard to sell your agency at the top of the market, kind of like real estate. Where will real estate be in a year? So that's my story. Just a lifetime of sales, marketing, both buying and selling and an exit on a big agency and now buying BDR.ai and using tech tools and LinkedIn and more digital marketing. I know we have a couple ad agencies on the call right now, and I'm curious, ad agency is such a broad term. What do you do? Do you do digital? Do you, spend 10 grand a month on Instagram and charge them 15% agency fee or 20%? Or are you TV, radio, billboards? I was direct mail. There's so many things. So agency is kind of a big word, but I understand it because I've worked with hundreds of agencies outsourcing or reselling my products. So I get the ad world pretty good. So just curious who maybe, who
Yeah, throw it in the chat. Let us know what it is that you do and for who. We'd love to.
what do you sell and who do you sell to, right?
Absolutely. As we're getting some of those responses into the chat, let's talk a little bit more about some of the common ceilings that you see uh, that you saw in your own past, and then what are some of the common ceilings that agencies hit at different revenue levels? So you got the ceiling of getting over seven figures, and then you've got the ceiling of getting to three and to five and seven and nine and 10 and so on. So what would you say are a couple of the ceilings that you encountered that others may be also kind of struggling with?
I talked to an ad agency yesterday that was trying to sell me SEO for our business. And it's the owner talking to me, and she does 1 million in revenue and makes 250 grand a year. Yay, congratulations. She's had the agency 15 years. She couldn't grow it bigger than herself. So I think the biggest ceiling is trying to do everything, be the sales rep, placing the ads, the operations. Like ad agencies are no different than any other business. You have to figure out how to duplicate yourself. So my first year as a owner of an ad agency, I sold $1 million worth of advertising and I made 150 grand. And it was a pretty good life. I could have kept it just like that and been relatively happy. But if I want to make $3 million a year and have something I could sell, I knew I had to duplicate. So what I did is I sold $1 million in advertising. I'm like, if I want to do 10 million in revenue, I got to go teach 20 salespeople how to sell $500,000. They probably won't sell 1 million. They won't work as hard as I worked. So let's say they're half as good as me, and they'll sell 500,000 a year. So I just did the math. I want to be a $10 million agency, make $2 million, go hire 20 people, and then start, advertising, selling, product development. That's kind of how I started. So as far as ceiling, I think it's mainly just a business ceiling. I don't want to be a real business. I want to be self-employed. And maybe some of the ad agencies on the call today are doing 50 million in revenue and have 200 employees. I don't know. But the ceiling is usually the owner, not setting goals to be a real business where this business grows without me. Duplicating yourself, it's more business advice than agency advice.
Yeah, I would say that you could probably put it into buckets, and there would be a motivation ceiling that some people just aren't that motivated to do the things that are required to scale because there are going to be some difficulties and some risks associated. And then there's the mindset of, having a fixed mindset of, this is what I know and this is the way it's always been versus the growth mindset of saying, what could it be and what if it was different than I saw it? And then there's the skill set ceiling. So you got things that we just don't know what we don't know. And then there's certain things that we know that just aren't so. And then there's also the action aspect of doing the work that's required. Those are all things that we all have to struggle with. But what would you say are two or three questions that an agency owner right now should be asking to get answers to before they end up deciding to scale in the next year?
Well, what do I sell and who do I sell to? That's a big question, right? And how can I refine that? We I talk about this often. There's 100,000 mortgage companies in America. There's only 2,000 of them that have ever bought direct mail. When I signed up for a tool that cost me $10,000 a month to find those 2,000 mortgage companies that were doing direct mail, everything changed for me because my 20 sales reps were only calling the 2,000 people that were 10 times more likely to buy my product. So I got to ignore the 98,000 mortgage companies that will never do direct mail advertising. So who do you sell and what do you sell and who do you sell it to? I sold direct mail. I sell it to mortgage companies, but 98% of the market is not my market. So when I honed in on the 2000, that's when sales went from 5 million to 10 million to 20 million. So the right list at the right time with the right offer. I mean, that's kind of marketing in general. But I had to do it for myself.
So if this show is resonating with you and you're ready to take action because you want to scale your business faster, smarter, with more AI and technology and less labor, check out BDR.ai. We help entrepreneurs and executive sales leaders to automate the grind of prospecting so you can focus your time on closing deals and growing revenue where you should be spending your time. With AI-powered data, digital outreach automation, and done-for-you prospecting systems, you'll connect with more qualified leads, book more appointments, and build predictable revenue without adding more hours to your week or the week of your staff. Visit BDR today and discover how our AI Prospect Finder and digital BDR agents can help you to build your pipeline and your profits. Visit BDR.ai, where business builders learn how to automate and scale their playbook. So is it hard giving up those other options and really narrowing down to that smaller list? Because I would assume that there would be some perception that, that's a much smaller list to go after, but you had the confidence to go all in and kind of bet the farm that that was going to be the thing that really pulled the best results.
What was hard is to spend $10,000 a month for the intelligence to go find those people. That was painful, man. That was a lot of money. But it wasn't hard to get away from the 98% of customers that'll never buy my product. That's just, I'm in direct marketing, for God's sake. Like, that wasn't hard. Ignore the people that are probably not going to buy. And I think, bigger's not always better, right? What's your market? I ended up selling 1,000 customers out of 2,000, 1,000. I got a 50% market share on the buyers. And that was 7 years and 20 people on the phone, outbound calling, dialing, emailing, LinkedIn, to try to land appointments and land those customers. And I had 5 out of the top 10 mortgage companies in America: Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, Loan Depot, wiring me $1 million a month. It was crazy, So yeah, I had no regrets on that. Just, who do you sell? What do you sell to them? And in defining what do we sell, and do we look like everybody else? So there's 50 direct mail companies just like me selling to these same people. So we had to tweak our product and show up a little different. Our USP, unique selling proposition. Why are you guys different? And God, why are you 20% more? I sold at a high price because I wanted to make money. I wasn't in business to bring in all this revenue. When we did $40 million in revenue, we made $16.9 million to the bottom line because I sold at a high price, and that's not always easy to do. So anyways, it's not just about revenue. It's about, income, right? Like this, I'm in business for personal income, not for revenue. And so that's setting goals. Where do you want to be revenue wise, profit wise? What do you want your life to look like? I did all this work in 4 days a week. I took 3-day weekends for the last 20 years. So 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. I don't work Fridays. I'm not a slave to this business. And anyways, I don't know if that.
You say that profitable revenue fixes everything, and a lot of the profitable revenue comes from obviously sales and margins on those sales. So what was the thing that really got you to the point where you said, we're going to charge a premium and we're going to create enough value that people are going to want to pay that premium price versus the lower price that was available to competitors? You remember it all?
And I was selling direct mail for $10,000 and all my competitors were at $8,000. That extra $2,000 in gross profit made up for all the mistakes I made. The lawsuits, the HR issues, growing the team, the meal and rest period, labor lawsuit. The attorneys. Thank God I had that extra margin so that I could pay for just being in business in California. What a nightmare, right? Like, just regulation. And so I knew that, my margins were 65%. So my $10,000 selling price cost me $3,500. I'm making $6,500 profit. That's hard to do. So sometimes the product has to be tweaked to make it different and to make it good, make it better. So when you spend more with me, you're going to get more. And that wasn't easy to do. I was always a work in progress, but we built a lot of things onto our agency that were different from everyone else. So we had a differentiator factor. And I think that's important,
What was the thing that got you into the position where you felt more committed to delegating? Because I know that there's a lot of agency owners out there that are fearful of delegating something because if it doesn't get done well, then the client's unhappy, and then that it reflects on future business opportunities. So what got you to the point where you were willing to fail and allow other people to do it less than you so that you could actually scale to where you wanted to go?
Well, the year I made $4 million, I remember doing the math. I make $2,000 an hour. What'd you do for the last hour, Jeff? Did you shuffle some papers, build an Excel spreadsheet, go talk to a sale? I mean, it was just ridiculous when you make, but that was at the very end. Let me back up to the beginning when I was making $100 an hour. If I make $100 an hour working on sales activities to bring in revenue, to make more profit, if I'm doing $20 an hour work, shame on me. So I got real good at delegating. It was definitely one of my most successful traits that allowed me to be successful is I delegated everything. I am not doing $20 an hour work when I make $100 an hour, and I'm not doing $200 an hour work when I make $2,000 an hour. It was just very apparent to me. What are you doing? Like duplicate, create another person. I know they're not going to be as good as me at it. I don't care. I think a lot of CEOs are very controlling and they have a hard time giving up control. And I know I'm going to train all these people, and some of them are going to steal my clients, go into business against me. Happened to me multiple times. I don't care. I'm still going. I'm not going to stay small and do all the work myself just because I'm scared of creating competition. Like, it's going to happen anyway. So I think once I learned that and I was on that mission, it just really helped drive my revenue growth, a million, two, four, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 every year, growing. And I'm selling direct mail, which is completely outdated. Everybody's like, direct mail, is that still a thing? Well, I don't know. Quicken Loans spent 100 million last year on direct mail. You want to call them and tell them they're making a mistake? It's like, but it was a fading media. It was declining, and I built this business from 0 to 20 million with a pretty mediocre product that was kind of fading and not that popular. It's just kind of crazy that we were able to do that. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's just do the math real quick. Because if you were to take your current number of hours that you're working per week, everybody, and you were to times that by the number of weeks in a year that you work, you'd have a total number of hours that you could divide into your annual income for the year. So, what's your hourly rate? And what are you currently investing your time into? Are you investing your time into things that are at or below that hourly rate? Or are you investing time into the things that are twice the value of that rate? Because that's where Jeff, I think, is really talking about separating himself and breaking through the barrier. He started spending time on higher value activities, and he also doubled down. He spent money to go out there and to seize the growth by finding the list. So, Jeff, you talk a lot about the list, the message, and the offer as being such a valuable thing. So, what should agency owners know about their prospect list and their messaging and their offer to scale their business?
I took a marketing class from a guy, I want to say his name is Alan Rosenspan from Boston, and he was a creative copywriter and he specialized in increasing the offer. And I think I spent 5 grand to sit there for the day. I'll never forget, he passed around a pencil to, like, I don't know, there's 25 people in the room. Tell me the benefits of this pencil. And the first 5 are like, "Oh, you can write with it. Oh, good. It's got an eraser on it." So stupid, right? But then it kept going. It's like, "You can pencil fight with it and have some fun pencil fight." Dude, he came up with 100 benefits of a pencil in like an hour. And I'm like, "That's incredible." So he was just showing how making your offer better and the 100 benefits of buying a pencil, where everybody thinks of 5. So drilling down into what your offer really is and how to make it better and things that it'll do for people. Um, some of them are like, you can bite it when you're stressed out. I can't remember. It's like 25 years ago, but I'll never forget that. It was a good seminar on creating benefit and the benefits of your product, because not everybody really thinks deep enough in that area. How do my clients benefit from my product and how can I make it better? There's always a way to make it better.
Yeah. And when it comes down to curating lists and getting the right people on the list, I mean, there's lots of different places to obtain third-party data lists and, searching on LinkedIn, but finding the right people, because you can't say the wrong thing to the right people and you can't say the right thing to the wrong people. So you invested in lists, but what advice would you give to an agency owner about improving the quality of their list in the new year?
I remember Dan Kennedy, the three-legged stool, was like the right data, the right offer, and the right media. Like, how do I go reach these people? Is it direct mail, email, Facebook, television, right? It was really interesting, the three-legged stool of marketing. I was a student of Dan Kennedy. Jay Abraham was kind of a marketing coach of mine that I spent a lot of money in reading his books and trying to grow it. And we're talking agency owners. They kind of know this, right? The right list with the right offer. They're pretty familiar with this, but it's funny how we'll ignore it for our own business and stall our growth because we're out there preaching it, but we're not doing it for ourselves. Um, so restate that question because I just went down the Dan Kennedy J. Abraham road and my mind just spun. Say the question.
Finding their target audience, where would you recommend that they would go to get a better qualified list of candidates to source for their services?
So let's say that I specialize in selling software companies in San Francisco, the Bay Area, right? There's a few thousand of them. And so my niche is software companies. There's 4,000 companies in San Francisco. That's great. So a good list is really about good timing. The timing's more important than the list. You have a good list. Oh, all the companies in San Francisco. Yeah, I got a list of them. That's not good data. The good data would be, out of 4,000 people, software companies, here's the 40 people that Googled last month. I'm looking for an ad agency. I want to go attack those 40 people. I don't want to go after 4,000. Just an example, right? Who's looking? What signals are out there in the data? So I always say good data is good timing. And, I remember when I went into Loan Depot, one of my biggest clients, and you think about how this deal went down. They said, we want to go after veterans and get more VA loans. And there's 4 million veteran mortgages in America. Like, well, we can go after all 4 million and we'll go broke mailing to them because it costs 60 cents to mail them a letter. Those 4 million, some of them haven't touched their mortgage in 20 years. So you don't want to mail those people. So we actually found, let me think of the numbers. Out of 4 million, there was 40,000 veterans a month filling out an online lead form saying, I want to refinance my mortgage. When I found that data, what is that? 10% or 1%? 10% would be 400,000. So yeah, it was 1%. When I found the 40,000 veterans going online, filling out forms, I want to refinance my mortgage, and I mailed those people, dude, I had 10 times the response rate. It was insane. So that's a good example of good data, good timing. I remember I went into Loan Depot and said, hey, all these people are trying to put solar on their roof in the solar boom of like 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. So if they're applying for a permit to put solar on their roof, it's a good time to offer them refinance to pay for the solar panels on the roof. So good data is good timing. They're raising their hand wanting to spend 40 grand on solar panels. Why don't we, instead of paying 10% interest to the solar company, why don't we offer them a 5% mortgage over 30-year amortization? It'll cut their solar payment from $500 a month down to $100 a month. So good data is good timing. I'm always looking for opportunities. And my clients appreciated that I was bringing them those ideas, thinking outside the box. So I don't know, those are more client ideas, but man,
You become a bigger fan of LinkedIn than you were when you owned your agency. Talk a little bit about that transition of how you saw the power of LinkedIn.
so 20 salespeople on the phone making 50 outbound calls a day. I was big on outbound calling, emailing, and we would mail physical packages, sometimes lumpy packages, so it really stood out. And we would mail a package. Actually, the best one I ever had is when I would mail a shoe and say, I'm trying to get my foot in the door. And I'll never forget the owner, marketing CMO of Ditech, got that shoe. I think they were Converse high tops. And she laughed. She thought that was so funny. She had that shoe on her desk for like 6 months. This guy mailed me a shoe trying to get his foot in the door. And it was funny just showing up different. So we would direct mail, we'd call, we'd email. And a couple of my sales reps started using LinkedIn. And I'm like, LinkedIn, I don't know. It's just so spammy. I don't think it works. Don't do LinkedIn. And one of my sales reps reached out to Quicket Loans, which is now Rocket Mortgage, and said something relevant on the message to the CMO of Rocket Mortgage. And I was exhibiting at a trade show that weekend in Vegas, and the CMO of Quicken said, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas. So through LinkedIn, she booked an appointment. I fly to Vegas. I sit in a coffee shop next door to the conference, talk to the CMO about why he should buy direct mail from us instead of their cheap vendor that they own in Michigan. And it opened up a conversation. We ended up getting $1 million check out of Rocket Mortgage, and I'm like, wow, like I can't ignore LinkedIn. And we had a couple other big clients where, hey, I remember Jim from Golden Oak Mortgage in Missouri. He had 10 offices. My sales rep found out that he liked drinking um, Jack Daniels, and she shipped a bottle of Jack. Hey, I saw on LinkedIn you went to this college. You love Jack Daniels. You da 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 da. That opened up a conversation with him where he spent $1 million a year with me for 7 years. My sales rep, $7 million, made 10% commission. She made 700 grand off that one deal, and it was all because of LinkedIn. So that's when I stopped ignoring LinkedIn. Everybody, LinkedIn, on in addition to calling and emailing and mailing packages, LinkedIn became the fourth one. And it's funny now, we own a LinkedIn marketing company, which is hilarious because I hated LinkedIn. I just wasn't big on social media and messages. But now we're seeing all this success with our clients. Just if we find the right list, make the right offer at the right time, I'm booking 20 demos a month using a product that cost me $500. And it's funny for me to do what BDR.ai does automation wise. I've done the math. It would take 100 hours of my time, 100 hours, or I could pay $500 a month and get all this done and save me. So that goes back to the delegation, return on time and money. Um, I talked to a guy yesterday who had 7,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I go, hey, do you know who those people are? No idea. Maybe 700 of them are good. The rest are junk through the years that'll never buy my product. I'm like, well, what if we get a list of people that will buy your product and build 7,000 new connections of people likely to buy your product? So when you post on LinkedIn, at least the right people are seeing your message. And when they respond, they'll onboard as a client. You'll make a lot of money. It's $500 a month, like kind of a no brainer. So, anyways.
Yeah, just the idea of taking your LinkedIn connections and prioritizing them and organizing them so that you have a list of your clients, a list of your vendors, a list of your prospects, a list of your referral partners that might be, people that collaborate with you, and being able to have structured messaging to them with an irresistible offer, and then being able to target posts, LinkedIn events, groups, or using some of the search filters in basic search on LinkedIn or on Sales Navigator. That's a very simple strategy to source a better list. And then once you've got that good solid list, if you need to augment it with third party premium data, that's another service that we can provide. But that in itself would be step one. Step two would be developing that messaging sequence that would really end up helping you to build the relationship and connect people. And back in the day, you had to hire a staff of 20 salespeople. Now you don't have to add to your seat count to scale your agency. You can just simply leverage technology. So maybe talk a little bit more about what it was like for you to scale with a large sales team to actually scaling with a smaller sales team, but using more automation and AI and technology.
Well, I would pay sales reps minimum wage based salaries back in the day. I don't know, California, 15, 16. Now it's what, 16.75 an hour. So I'm paying a $30,000 base plus commissions and big commissions. And I had sales reps make 500 grand, a million. My top sales rep, I W-2'd him for $3.2 million in 2021. So I paid big fat commissions to go land big customers happy. And he was on a minimum wage based salary. Um, so I think about, okay, $30,000 to onboard a sales rep. Um, if I can get a LinkedIn license for 6 grand a year, $500 a month, and that BDR LinkedIn AI license can book me 20 demos, why would I pay a sales rep 30 grand to get me? Sales rep's not getting me 20 demos a month. So it's not like the answer to everything. You still need sales reps, but you probably need less of them. I don't. And then managing all those crazies, right? I mean, I've hired 1,000 salespeople, drugs and alcohol. This one's dating this one in the office. I mean, I'd love to have less of that. I mean, I've hired 1,000 salespeople over 30 years, and it's just I still got a little PTSD from it. All the craziness, and the crazier they are, the better they sell. So, it's it was a lot of work to manage a sales team and keep them on the straight and narrow and don't lie to customers and, whatever. So that was all part of it.
Yeah. Well, as we get into the concept of sales, I mean, that's another aspect. And I know that a lot of the agency owners that we've had conversations with is that sometimes they're so busy working in the business that they don't necessarily have the time to work on the business and building out the sales process and the system so that they can duplicate, or just bringing on an additional salesperson is a challenge. So, how did you do it? How did you go from being an individual solopreneur to being a team of 20 salespeople? And what was the process that you took to start moving in that direction?
Well, that first year, I owned my agency, right? I mean, got to go get a building. I'm in my barn, right, with my wife's horse next to me. Um, and Yeah, that horse just died last week. She was 29 years old, and I remember being in that barn with that horse, and kicking the stall and making noise, and people are like, "What's that noise in the background?" It's my horse. But, you do what you gotta do. That mortgage company, going from making 3 million a year to losing money was brutal, right? I had to start over. It was tough, and, bringing back some memories. But anyways, go get a building and run an ad and start hiring salespeople. Look, I sold $1 million. You could make 150,000 a year working here, and you've been making 75 grand. Let me show you how to double your income. And I hire 5 people, and one quits, and one's an idiot, and I fire him, and I net out three. And then 3 months later, I hire 5 more, and I fire one, and one quits, and I net out three. And then all of a sudden, one of my sales reps, I end up, luck, right? Just I'm hiring a lot of salespeople. Luck, part-time comedian, 35 years old, lived with his mom and dad. It was a weird setup. And all of a sudden, he comes in, starts selling double what I was selling. I'm like, ooh, I found a winner. Outbound, just an animal, just tenacious. And so now I found the first sales rep that's better than me. And that sales rep I sold $1 million worth of direct mail one year, and I was pretty proud of that. He sold 20 million. $20 million at 15% commission, $3 million in commission. It was insane. So I started finding people that were better than me and just coaching them, helping them. And so one sales rep, 3, 6, 10, 20. I think I ended at 20. And today I wouldn't need 20 with all the AI tools and stuff. Maybe I only need 10. But SDRs, BDRs, I don't know. We used to call them sales reps. I don't know what happened. It used to be salesmen, then it was salespeople, right? Men, women, and now it's BDR, SDR, all these new terms for the same thing. You got people on the phone out trying to get business, and B2B. I'm guessing all these ad agencies on this call right now are B2B. They're selling customers on doing advertising with them so they can make a profit and deliver a result. So, it's just a matter of I had a goal. I knew how many salespeople I needed to hit the revenue goal, and I just do that. But I'm working on the product. And then marketing, it's like I heard the best definition I've ever heard for marketing a few years ago, and I was surprised it took 30 years to hear it. But they go, Jeff, the definition of marketing is it makes it easier to sell. And I'm like, wow, that's so true. Marketing makes it easier to sell. There's no other role for it. Branding, oh, that's great. Building your name, brand rec, all that. But marketing just makes it easier to sell. So if I do good marketing, my salespeople are selling $100,000 versus 10,000 because the leads are coming in more qualified, more interested, more educated. And everything in marketing ad agency comes down to that now: branding and stories and all the things that we have to work on in the back end. But I think sometimes people get so enamored with marketing, they think it's more important than sales. It's not. It's not.
Right.
There's a reason salespeople make 200 grand a year and marketing people make 100. It's twice as valuable for someone who can go out and get a deal and bring it in. Bringing in revenue is hard. And so I paid the salespeople a lot of money to go do that, and just hiring good people. And after hiring 1,000 salespeople at 3 different companies, I got pretty good at who's going to be a winner, and I would pick winners 70% of the time instead of 50%. So it made it a little easier. Still, you never know, right? Everybody's a salesperson in an interview, but bringing on sales reps to sell your product and showing them a path to where they can make a good income, super important. Quotas, recognition, the whole deal. Running a sales team is, it's a job.
Yeah. Well, moving from solopreneur to being entrepreneur requires having a staff, and nowadays you can outsource so much. Would you recommend a organization outsource to get started? Maybe outsourcing a BDR type of role so that they could end up focusing in on just working with the highest quality people and not having to necessarily go out there and do a lot of the business development?
I talked to an ad agency in New Jersey yesterday, and I forget what he said when I was talking about, hey, let me connect you to 3,000 new people on LinkedIn and book some meetings for you, book demos. And he's like, oh, we only work by referral. I'm like, oh, that's great. How many referrals did you get last year? Oh, 10. And, they spent 500 grand. So my agency went from 1 million to 1,500,000. I'm like, oh, congratulations. You only work by referrals. Why don't you just go get 1,000 more? Oh, you can't? You ran out of referrals? Time to do marketing. I'm trying to introduce you to people. And it's funny because he was in the sports world of baseball, and we were talking about my client Lone Depot, who just renamed the stadium Miami. Is it the Marlins? They renamed the stadium Lone Depot Stadium. And I've got clients that are in baseball and spending money on marketing, and he just couldn't see the value in being introduced to big clients that are in his vertical. He's just going to stay small and work by referral because maybe he doesn't want to sell. He doesn't want to build rapport. Not everybody likes sales. I don't know how many people really do like it because it's hard. Build rapport, build value, close the sale, ask for the business. Not everybody wants to do that. So I get that. If you're happy where you're at and you're signing up for slow growth, stay on slow growth. I mean, if you're happy with that, I'm not going to knock it, but I was not on board for slow growth. I had to double revenue every year for 10 years in a row to get the big exit that I wanted. So I was just doing a lot of marketing, trying a lot of
What
things.
were some of the rewards that were motivators for you to be able to scale? Because obviously you had to make some sacrifices, and we'll share those in just a moment. But what were some of the rewards that drove you to do some of the things that were hard and risky to get to where you got to?
I mean, I went into business not because I had so much fun with it. I got into business to make money. So you start getting a paycheck where you're like, wow, I made $300,000 this month. I can go buy a new Porsche and pay cash. I mean, that was motivation for me was the money. I mean, I'm super money motivated, and that's why I got into business. It wasn't to have friends or have a bunch of respect or tell everyone I'm a business owner. It was like I want to make money. So the reward usually was financial. I mean, there was another reward. Take 20 salespeople that all made 80 grand a year and watch them go make 200,000, 500, a million, 3.2 million. There's a lot of reward in growing people and seeing them make more money, seeing them buy houses and pay cash for cars. That was a huge reward of that wasn't so much. But as they were making money, I was making money, if they're making a million and I'm making a million, great. So, rewarding, I don't know, that would be probably my biggest answer to that question. I'm sure there's other rewards, but it wasn't about the name on the door or I don't know. I just didn't care that much about that stuff. I had a goal to build a company and sell it and put a bunch of money in the bank and live a big lifestyle. And I accomplished that goal. So it wasn't, I don't know, that's the biggest reward is just, I call the P&L at the end of the month as my report card. And I was a C student, so I'm constantly getting bad report cards and feeling bad about it. But when I got 300 grand net profit on, what would that be? Maybe, 2 million or 1,500,000 in revenue. I'm like, good job, Jeff. You did good, like that was just super fun for me. And seeing it grow every month and get bigger, how big can I take this thing? So.
Yeah, I don't know about you from a capacity standpoint. My math skills weren't all that great until I started putting dollar signs in front of the numbers, and then it became a lot more exciting. And I think that there was a level of competency, there was a level of self-confidence, I don't know about what it's been like for you to be able to have that on your resume that you built a business to 40 million in revenue and had an 8-figure exit, but it kind of shows capacity of what you're capable of. And if that excites you to go out there and, swing for the fences and hit home runs and have opportunities that fulfill your full potential, it's kind of exciting to be able to see what you're capable of. And, neither one of us were great academic students, but we turned businesses into success that made, um, us feel more self-confident and our self-esteem and all those things. It was like, when you're not an academic growing up in high school, you're kind of looked down upon as like, yeah, you're not a good student. But, like the book says, Robert Kiyosaki, A students work for C students and B students work for the government. We were able to have, a lot of impact and influence. You employed 65 people in your organization, your last organization, and that fed a lot of families and made a lot of impact. And even though that wasn't your main driver, I'm sure it was rewarding to be able to see that people built careers. I mean, you W-2'd a salesperson $3.2 million that was previously an insurance salesperson that was making maybe less than 100,000 and working as a comedian. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to be part of his story. So a lot more reasons I think that are just beyond money for all of us, but for you, money was that driver and you attained it. So let's talk a little bit more about scorecards and metrics. What should agency owners be looking at on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to measure their progress in scaling?
Well, I mean, I think it just helps to have a goal. What is your revenue goal for 2026? Did you do 5 million in revenue and make 500 grand and you want to get to 10 million and make 1,000,005? It's good to have a goal, a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal. I never did past 5 years. I was like, that's pretty far out. I remember I had set a goal for 50 million in revenue in 5 years, and we got to 20 million. I sold the company and then we doubled to 40. I almost hit that. So a big, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, all these. So having a goal and starting there and then working backwards, how am I going to get there? What is my average client spend per month, per year, lifetime value? How am I going to build this bigger? Not to say I want to sell the company. Maybe they want to keep it, or maybe they want to turn it over to their children, right? Whether the children want it or not, right? That's a whole nother thing. None of my kids were like, Dad works too hard. I don't want to do that ad agency. So I sold mine. But I think, once you start figuring out your revenue goal and you work backwards into it, what is the average client spend and how many salespeople do I need? I got to start building this company and I'm going to have to build it from, 3 employees to 65 to keep up with operations. Say I had 5 managers, count the money, who's going to do the bookkeeping. I don't want to do that. HR. I mean, so you have to have some goals for headcount and revenue, and then you got to monitor every week, every month. Okay, if we have to bring in 100 new clients in 2026 to double our agency, how many sales reps do I need to bring in 100 clients, and what are they doing every week? Are they reaching out, LinkedIn, phone calls, emails, personal visits, mailing stuff? So watching the activity. So we have a scorecard that monitors activity of how much they're doing to hold them accountable every week to hit our goals. Hey, you have a goal of going from 60 grand a year income to 120. Here's what you have to do to get your income. So if I help you manage your time and activity level to hitting these results, I'm going to hit my goals.
Yeah. Well, I know that we're coming up here almost on the hour, and I wanted to be able to share a little bit more about the Agency Growth Accelerator program that we put together. But if you were to give the people that are watching this video 5 to 6 different things that they could do over the next 90 days to 12 months that would lead to predictable growth in their agency and help them scale, what would be in chronological order? Like, here's the first thing I would do, and then here's the second thing I would do, and give us 5 or 6 things that we could walk away with from today and put into action.
Well, number one, set a goal for where you want to go next year. That's number one, right? I mean, most people probably have a goal of how big they want or how much they want to grow. And then number two, probably setting goals for your team and holding them accountable for the activity that it takes to get to that goal. So holding people accountable, whether that's a scorecard, a weekly meeting, um, and managing employees in and out. I mean, I had 65 employees. I probably hired 200. So I fired 140 people over 10 years. They're like, Jeff, what's your attrition for salespeople? I'm like, I don't know. I have 20 salespeople. I probably hired 40 to get there. So what is that? 50%? They're gone because I'm holding them accountable. And most people don't want to work. So I got so revenue goal, setting goals for your team and then holding them accountable. in some fashion, whether that's a scorecard or weekly meetings. Accountability just seems like everything in building a business, right? Um, sometimes it's product development. Hey, what new products are you launching that could really help make your company more desirable to do business with? Maybe fine tune your list and fine tune your offer a little bit. Like, take a half a day and go into a hotel room and sit down and say, why do my clients do business with me? You know, I don't think most people know. They think they know. And then you go talk to 100 of their clients and they're like, oh, I do business with them because of this. And it's something totally different. And knowing your unique selling proposition and working on your USP, those are probably top four. What can I improve to my product to make my company more attractive? What new things could I launch? That would be high up there for me. Financially, hopefully you have a good finances. You can look at revenue margin. I'll tell you, a lot of people out there just selling too cheap because they can't really add value and justify getting a higher price and raise your prices. That's always a thing. Raise your prices. You've got to have good margin to grow and to make up for all the mistakes you're going to make and all the things that don't work. I was always working on 5 marketing strategies and 3 of them failed and 2 of them won. And I swear I thought all 5 were good, but I'm failing forward every month, trying lead gen marketing or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the social, radio, telemarketing. I mean, I'm doing everything because I don't know what's going to really work. So failing forward and being okay with it, having a budget for that comes from high margins. I could throw money at something and I can have 3 out of 5 fail and still be profitable. That's important.
Absolutely. I know that this is the opportunity for us to be able to tell a little bit more about what it is that we're putting together for a select group, an exclusive group of agency owners that would like to scale and would like to have a partner, somebody that's done it, somebody that's walked in that process and actually climbed the mountain. And you've been working on putting together a book and having all of this step by step playbook put together. Obviously, you wanted to be able to share your journey and the successes that you've had and give people more of a playbook that they could leverage and kind of guide them on the journey, even though their journey may not be the same as yours or the destination may not be the same. A lot of the steps that are required to get to a higher level are very similar. So, talk a little bit about the idea of what it means to put your playbook into writing and then to be able to partner with other agency owners that maybe you're the same Jeff Bush maybe 20 years ago where they're kind of in this position where they're saying, hey, I want something more. I want something bigger. I want something better. I want to be able to have a bigger exit. I want to be able to, leverage something that is maybe an asset, when I want to leave it to my kids, something of along those lines.
Well, I would say the most important playbook for me to share would be how I built a sales team and how I did my marketing lead gen to go get leads, warm leads to my sales reps to help them. Marketing makes it easier to sell. I did some good marketing that generated some leads and I sold 1,000 customers, over about a 7-year period. And then they all started ordering more because my product worked. So my customers got bigger, which was amazing. But how did we go out and cold call, email, LinkedIn, direct mail to go get 1,000 new customers for a company that no one had ever heard of before? No branding. My company name was Overflow. Try to put you in the overflow on calls and leads. And so how I went about doing that was just hiring salespeople and marketing. If somebody's really ready to grow, I think those 2 things are pretty crucial. That would be the key. Is here's how I did outbound marketing to go win more appointments and close more business. Um,
And I did put the link into the chat to the Agency Growth Accelerator page that has more information. This is going to be by application only, and it's going to be exclusive to the first few people that get registered and who move forward with it. But what we're going to do in the next 12 months is we're going to partner with you in kind of a done with you business development system. So you're going to get a chance to walk through with guidance and support. And we're going to give you a whole bunch of tools and resources, lots of guidance and support. And it's really for those agency owners that are saying, you know what, I know that I need to do something different, but I'm not really sure exactly what to do, or maybe I know what to do, but I'm just not taking the steps. So having some accountability, having some guidance, having some support will definitely be something that could give you to that next level. So inside the Agency Growth Accelerator, we're going to give you access to 6,000 target market profiles of pre-qualified prospects that match your ICP, and giving you the best chances of having great success with those individuals when you reach out to them. We're going to give you an optimized LinkedIn profile if you don't have one already. We're going to show you some of the things that we've learned to get more people chasing the boat, right? Get more fish chasing the boat versus out there trying to chase the fish, which doesn't always succeed. And it's very, very hard and a lot of work. We're going to show you some things that we've learned to be successful with building up that profile so that you get the best chances of success when somebody lands on your connection request or lands on your page. We're going to give you access to our AI digital outreach agent, automated system that combines digital outreach automation using LinkedIn actions, LinkedIn messages, and email, and then doing personal connection touch points either through you or through a virtual assistant that you assign to that individual task. And we're going to show you our best cadences, something that's pulled very good results for other clients and other agency owners. We're going to do a hosted webinar with you. So you're going to get a chance to be featured as an expert to your target audience. We're going to have an expert moderator that's going to be asking you 7 to 10 questions, positioning you as the expert in your particular industry, do all the event setup, registration page, give you the registration list, the attendee list, and then build out the whole process for invite, reminders, follow-ups, as well as giving you some video clips that you can post on social media to gain credibility, trust, and authority with the target market. We're going to create a custom lead magnet that's going to be a 15-page professionally designed PDF document that's going to be able to display your expertise, your value proposition, your offer, unique value proposition, selling proposition, whatever you want to call it, really helping to showcase you and all the things that you bring to the marketplace. And that tool is going to be a great lead generator for your website, your outbound marketing, your emails, as well as many more opportunities from ongoing evergreen marketing. We have an online university school platform where we put together a lot of content and video courses, tutorials, and community. So we'll get you access to all of that. And then we're also going to do weekly power hour sessions where you or your staff can come together and learn best practices to enhance and scale their agency and to grow their opportunities. And then we're going to do monthly coaching calls, talking about how you have progressed, what's been the reasonable progress that you've made over the period of time since the last time we had the conversation. So if you're looking for more accountability, you're looking for some structure, you're looking for support, this is what we are promising as a part of this particular Agency Growth Accelerator program. The cost is very nominal compared to other programs out there, and we're doing this as a limited time offer. That's not something that we're going to offer ongoing at the same price point for all agency owners. But to kick off this opportunity to launch the book, you can basically go in there and reserve your spot by just filling out the registration form and letting us know that this is something that you're interested in. And we can provide more case studies, personal testimonials, recommendations by others that have leveraged what it is that we're doing at upon request. And there's lots of other stuff on our website. So Jeff, any final comments or other ideas that you'd like to share with those agency owners that are watching this video right now?
I mean, book 30 minutes on my calendar, right? Let's talk specifically about, I mean, I don't think anybody answered the question of what do they sell and who do they sell to. I'm just curious, what kind of agency are you? Digital, print, media, broadcast? I'd love to meet with some of these people and not hard sell them anything. Obviously, we've got a little tool we sell that we're pretty excited about that's booking a lot of meetings and bringing on a lot of new clients for us. So yeah, we'll share that with them, but just a meet and greet, sounds a little bit more like, a little coaching program from, somebody that's done it. And, there's a lot of ways to do it. Obviously mine's not the only way, but mine worked for me. So if there's something that you could take out of it, I just love talking to other business owners, especially if they're selling advertising, right? That's kind of my sweet spot. Spent 30 years, doing it, 20 out of 30. So I just say, book a meeting, let's talk. Let's just do a 30-minute quick Zoom and see if there's something there.
almost to make it worth their while, and go from there.
Yeah, go ahead and fill out the interest form on the Agency Growth Accelerator page that's included with this video. And I did put the link into Jeff's calendar. If for those of you that are with us live, if you want to go in there and book an appointment, we'd love to be able to have a conversation with you. Anyone that shows interest in the Agency Growth Accelerator program is going to get access to a quick conversation with Jeff, 30 minutes, just to learn more about the program and learn more about your goals and to see if it's a good fit for you. And then, looking forward to being able to scale with all of you in 2026, whether you join our program or whether you're just a friend or a connection on LinkedIn. We hope that this has been added value to you. We'd love to get you a copy of the book when it becomes available. So if you'd like a copy of that, please reach out to us at bdr.ai, and we'd be happy to ship off a copy to you when those are published. So Jeff, thanks for the time today, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here and look forward to talking to you all soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Builders Playbook. If this episode gave you some plays that you can start running in your business today, hit subscribe and share with another revenue leader who's tired of the pipeline grind. Building predictable revenue isn't something you figure out alone. Whether you're looking to automate your prospecting with BDR.ai, or you just want to talk through the growth challenges you're facing, reach out. We help business leaders just like you to build systems that actually scale. And if you're ready to stop being your company's highest paid prospector, let's have a conversation. Reach out to us at bdr.ai. Until next time, let's keep building.